I first saw the apartment on a hot afternoon in New Orleans. It was an old 4-story building, hidden on a quiet street. The yellow paint had faded into a sickly gray. Rust streaked down from the iron balconies. Half the windows were smeared with grime, permanently. The landlord hardly said a word when I signed the papers. He handed me the keys quickly, like he was glad to be rid of them. When I mentioned the address to a shopkeeper nearby, he gave me a strange look. "There?" he asked. "People don't stay long in that building." I laughed it off. Cheap rent was cheap rent. But when I stood at the bottom of those stairs with my suitcases, I felt it. The heaviness in the air, like the building itself was holding its breath. The stairwell was narrow. Weak yellow bulbs buzzed above me. Each step I took rang hard against the walls. Halfway up, I noticed something else. Footsteps. Another set. They weren't mine. They came a beat after each of mine. Light, distinct, like someone was following me. My chest tightened. I spun around, expecting to see a neighbor behind me. The stairwell was empty. The sound stopped the moment I stopped. I laughed it off, told myself old buildings creak. But something in my stomach said otherwise. It wasn't the building that had followed me. The apartment was small, worn but livable. That night I lay in bed, listening to the city outside. Somewhere in the building, a faucet started to drip. Drip, drip, drip. I got up annoyed and checked the kitchen. Then the bathroom. Both dry. The dripping kept going. Louder. Then 3 knocks on the wall beside my bed. Slow. Deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. I froze, stared at the wall. The next day I asked my neighbor if she'd been up late. She frowned. "That unit?" she said. "No one lives there. It's been empty for months." The next days were full of small things I tried to explain away. Doors would creak open on their own. Cold drafts moved through rooms even when every window was shut. At night, I sometimes heard whispers in the hallway. 2 or 3 voices, low and overlapping. Words I couldn't make out. I opened the door more than once. The corridor was always silent, empty. One evening, while I was cooking, I felt warm breath on my ear. A voice whispered my name. I spun around so fast I nearly dropped the pan. Nobody was there. Then came another knock. Around 6 in the evening, someone rapped at my door. I opened it. A woman stood there, maybe 50, pale, lined face, a faded shawl over her shoulders. She smiled quietly and asked if I'd seen her cat. She said she lived on the floor above. Something about her put me on edge. Maybe her eyes, maybe the hollow sound of her voice. I said no. She thanked me and walked away. I shut the door and leaned against it, uneasy. Then it hit me. No one lived on the floor above. I had been told that. I told myself I'd misheard. Another warning. I fought and walked on. My younger brother came to stay one weekend. I hadn't told him about the strange things. I didn't want him to think I was losing my mind. That night, he couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I heard him pacing in the living room. When I went out, he was pale, his eyes were wide. "I saw someone," he whispered, "at the end of the hallway, just standing there." I told him he was tired. He shook his head hard. "No, I felt it." Cold air rushed past me. And when I lay down, the couch, he pointed. Trembling, something sat down next to me. The cushion sank. I swear I felt it. I forced a laugh, but my stomach turned. "You're imagining things," I said. "This place just makes noises." He looked at me, serious. "I don't know how you live here. I'm never coming back." He never did. No matter how many times I asked, he refused to step near that building again. After he left, things got worse. One night, as I climbed the stairwell, I heard the footsteps again. Faster this time. Heavier. I stopped. The steps didn't. They rushed past me, up toward the floor above. My blood ran cold. Another night, I woke to my bedroom door wide open. I always locked it before bed. But the night that finally broke me began like any other. I was asleep. Total darkness. Curtains closed. Lights off. In my dream, I heard children. Little feet pattering. Giggles. It snapped me awake. At first, I told myself it was a dream. Then I heard it again. Running. Laughing. Inside my room. Fear flooded me. The sound circled the bed. I could feel the tiny footsteps on the floorboards. My heart hammered. I lunged for the light switch. The room filled with light. Empty. The air felt heavy and charged. But there was nothing. Just me, trembling, covered in sweat. Not long after the night of the children, something even stranger began. I started waking up in places I hadn't gone to sleep. One morning, I found myself barefoot in the kitchen. The stove light was on. My hands rested on the counter as if I'd been preparing something. Another time, I woke sitting on the cold floor by the front door. The chain latch was dangling loose, like I'd been about to open it. I had never been a sleepwalker, not once in my life, but now it happened again and again. It didn't feel like walking in my sleep. It felt like something was guiding me. Something in that apartment wanted me to move where it wanted me. It was around this time the sleep paralysis began. I would wake in the dead of night, eyes open, ceiling faintly visible in the dark. But I couldn't move, not a finger, not a breath. And always, I felt a presence beside the bed. Once, I saw it. A tall, dark figure leaning over me, its face inches from mine. I tried to scream. My throat locked. My chest burned. Then, just as suddenly, I could move again. But the shadow never left my mind. The storm came one night in late summer. Rain hammered the windows. Thunder shook the walls. Then the power went out. I lit a candle and sat on the edge of my bed, trying to steady my breath. The flame flickered wildly, shadows stretching across the cracked walls. And then I saw it. In the corner of the room, a shadow stood. It wasn't mine. The candlelight made my shadow sway and move. But this one stood still, tall, silent. My heart hammered as I raised the candle. The shadow didn't move. Slowly, the door handle began to turn. It squealed as the door creaked open by itself. I dropped the candle. Darkness swallowed the room, and I bolted. By morning, I had decided. I packed what I could and left the building for good. Weeks later, I met an older man across the street. When I mentioned the apartment, he only nodded, like he'd heard it all before. "Of course you left," he said. "Everyone leaves. That place was built on the old cemetery. They moved the headstones years ago, but not the bodies." His words stopped me cold. Suddenly, it all fit together. The footsteps, the whispers, the woman looking for a cat, the children laughing when there were no children to laugh. Even the way I found myself walking where I hadn't meant to go. It wasn't just a haunted building. It was built on the restless dead. Even now, when I walk by that street, I don't look up. I keep my eyes forward. I refuse to glance at those broken balconies. Because deep down, I know the shadows are still there. Watching. Waiting. That's it.